Hello, good evening, welcome to Talking Sheffield and welcome to Talking Sheffield on a Tuesday where I have a conversation with an interesting chap or a nice woman from Sheffield who's basically got something interesting to say, whether it's from sort of cultural delights here in the city or from a sporting side of things. And today it's from that side of things. So I'm speaking to the strongest man in Sheffield, the strongest man in England. It's Phil Roberts.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hopefully people find me interesting.
That's right.
That's them to decide.
You are the strongest man in England, which in itself is an interesting thing. And we'll get right into this about how you feel in competitions, those different rounds. And we've all seen it on Channel 5. And we'll get into the Mountie on Game of Thrones and all of that stuff, as well as the incredible things that you have to put in your body and eat every day in terms of keeping your muscle mass going and all that stuff. Later on in the show, I also got Phil to see if he could lift me up as well. We might do that in the second half. We'll show you what happened when I got Phil to try and lift me up over his head on the terrace. To start with, Phil, tell me a little bit about when you decided that, or do you grow up as a young lad and decide that I want to be the strongest man in England? Is that how it worked?
Well, I think it starts off as little lads being little lads. So you play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with your friends or something along those lines. Thundercats. Yeah. Thundercats were one of my favourites. So
you
we always
Thundercats,
play fighting, and the best one was always the one that won the play fight. So I was always really competitive in that aspect, even from like the age of 5, 6 years old.
So were you looking at Panthro? Is Panthro Thundercats?
Lionel, I think.
Lionel's
the main
absolutely.
man. Yeah, Lionel.
But you're looking at those muscles as well and thinking, when I grow up, I want to have. And you said to me, RoboCop as well.
RoboCop, yeah.
RoboCop had an impression on you.
RoboCop had a massive impression on me. I think it does to a lot of young lads, but I just took it that little step, probably too far. And at the age of 21, I joined the police in South Yorkshire, in Sheffield. Why
did you want to join the police? Tell me what your thoughts were there.
Well, first of all, it was a good career. Well, it was always told it was a good career. And without sounding cheesy, you're doing your bit for community. You're trying to help those in need, protect people from the baddies, basically. Very simple RoboCop aspect. And
at what point did you realise that, hold on a sec, I'm not exactly just protecting people from the baddies, or it's not? Because the police force, everyone knows there's paperwork, there's all sorts of other bits of red tape, and did you enjoy it?
I didn't enjoy it, no. There were aspects that I did enjoy about it, but the vast majority of the time I wasn't happy in the police force. So I did 7.5 years before I realised, you know what, life's too short. I'm not going to do this anymore. What
didn't you enjoy about it? What was? Did it not give you the adrenaline buzz that you thought you would as a small boy and stuff?
No, it's very different. It's very different from the programmes like Bad Boys and all the cop programmes and stuff like that. You're just so restricted. And obviously things do get to you. You see some horrific things. And over time, at first you don't think that it bothers you, but over time it does affect you. And it affected me in a negative way. So I thought, you know what, instead of making my life a mess, I'd rather just leave.
So whilst you were in the police force, to blow off a bit of steam, you were going down to the gym?
Yes.
You were you always lifting weights in the gym, or were you on the treadmill? Was it always weights for you?
No, it was always weights for me. So I think every young lad at my age was inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And obviously he had big muscles. So we just wanted to get big muscles.
And was it sort of competition between you and your mates to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was always very competitive with my mates, and I was usually the strongest. So I took that aspect and I thought, I like being strong. Strong is useful as well. Not just looking good with muscles. You can actually functionally use it in life.
Absolutely.
So that's what I expanded on that.
In the police force, because you won an award as like the strongest copper, didn't you, or something like that?
While I was in the police, 2014, I won Sheffield's Strongest Man competition.
And you happened to strong arm of the law. You happened to be a policeman.
Strong arm of the law.
All that sort of stuff.
But
did that mean that, like, if you're out and about and the baddies, as you called them, saw you on Westry or whatever, there's a massive policeman. I don't think you were a bit of a target, but did that give them more licence to be a bit chippy and
I think
a bit cocky?
Yeah, I think they were trying to push my buttons and see me more of a challenge than some. So, but then there's other aspects of it that they saw the size of me and thought, well, probably best not bother messing around with that one. So it swings and roundabouts. It depends on the person you're dealing with.
So when you were in the gym and you were lifting, I'm guessing it was free weights as well, pretty much.
Yes, mainly, yeah.
You're lifting free weights. How do you move on from that to why don't I enter a competition? Who taps you on the shoulder and says you should enter a competition? Like,
it was actually one of my pals. He said, "You're quite strong in the gym, so why don't you come and do a strongman competition?" Obviously, I've only ever seen it on TV, like at Christmas time, like everyone says. Everyone enjoys watching Jeff Capes and John Paul Sigmason back in the day. Lifting giant hay bales and running up a hill with some bricks or something like that. It was amusing. So I thought, and my pal had some stuff, so I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. And after that, I fell in love with it. It was absolutely amazing. Much more interesting than the gym, normal gym.
We should have a look at a photo. I think we've got a photo here of you and is this you as Mr. Rotherham before?
Mr. Rotherham.
On the right-hand side. This is your first competition in Rotherham.
Yep.
Your first strongman competition you won. You can see the trophy.
Yep.
And this is you this year. Is that right? On the left-hand side there.
So I started out, the picture on the right, as Rotherham's strongest novice. So I'd never done...
Not Mr. Rotherham then.
Not Mr. Rotherham, no. They're the ones that stand in pants and pose. Okay, I don't look very good in pants and I don't pose like that.
Come on now.
And then the one on the left was me as England's strongest man. 5 years apart.
So the first competition you ever entered, you won.
Yes.
When you were in that, I don't know, probably not a dressing room or whatever with all the other competitors, did you look around and think, yeah, I'm bigger than them, I'm stronger than them?
No, I never had that aspect. I always... I went into, I still do now. I go into competitions and see the competitors and I go, I want to go home. I want to go home, yeah, genuinely.
Because you're obviously a massive bloke, but there must be someone much taller than you as well, because you're clearly built and all the rest of it, but you get some folk who are 6'6" and whatnot.
Yeah, even bigger than that as well. I've competed against, the biggest person I competed against was 6'10".
6'10",
yeah,
and also built like this wide as well.
Right, yeah, like a proverbial brick house. Yeah.
So why is that bloke not winning every competition? Because you must come up against these massive blokes that you think, by rights, he's 6'10", he's twice the size of me. What are you doing that he's not doing?
Well, my training will be different. So just because you're tall, just because of the bigger person, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily better. Because if you think about levers, for instance, so if I held a weight here, it's a lot easier to hold it than out here.
Yeah.
So his levers are a lot longer, so the muscle has to be a lot stronger to be able to hold the same sort of weights.
So that fella, the Mountie that we talked about in Game of Thrones, what's his actual name?
Hafthor Bjornsson from Iceland. Yeah.
So this Icelandic fellow, and he has won the world's strongest man titles?
No, he hasn't. He's won Europe's strongest man this year.
Okay.
He came second at world's strongest man this year.
But he's a beast. I mean, he is 6 foot something.
6'9". Yeah, he's a monster, yeah.
So it's further, his arms are longer than yours, it's harder for him to hold it because there's that big length as well.
Yeah, I'm not quite at his level yet. Hopefully at some point I will get to his sort of competitive.
Talk about those distinctions, because you were saying in the UK there's 3 different categories. There's novice, and then there's intermediate, and then there's a...
Opens,
So where are you now? So you have just, we should say you are England's strongest man.
Yes.
And that was how long ago that you won that tournament?
Between 3 and 4 weeks ago now.
3 or 4 weeks ago, and then in another 3 weeks, you've got to take on the best of Wales and Scotland to be the UK's strongest man.
Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and who I competed against in England as well. So they may have improved as well. So they've had 6 weeks to get the game together. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's restarting all over again. And there's some very strong Scottish chaps out there as well.
Tell us about the tournament then that you had to be England's strongest man.
Right.
Why did it all work out? How many times have you entered that tournament, and why did it all work out this year?
So this was the 3rd time I entered it. I entered it in 2014 the first time and came 8th or 9th. I wasn't ready for it. It was a bit beyond me, but I still went and held my own. Last year, I came 3rd. So it was a podium finish, which meant I got to go to UK's, and I was on TV at Christmas time, wearing a nice leotard. Not my usual choice.
Do you get to choose what you wear in those?
No, you don't get to choose.
What they say, here's your leotard, you've got to wear it.
No, you're basically told you're wearing that on, or you're not doing it. So
can't I just wear a nice sweat top and a pair of tracky bottoms?
No, it's pretty much a dictatorship. It's not a democracy. So it's their way or the highway.
Yeah.
And then this year, obviously, I won it. But what you have to do is you have to do a bit of a tournament. So I competed against all the strongest lads in the north of England, and the top 4 from there went on to England's strongest man. But then also you got the top 4 from the Midlands strongest man, and the top 4 from Southern strongest man. So we made the trip. 4 of us made the trip down to down to Rochester, so in the Southerners' territory, and I came back, pinched their trophy, and went back to the north.
You chat to Northerners, you chat to Sheffield folk, they'll tell you that Sheffield folk, Northerners are much harder than Southerners when in terms of lifting and strongest men.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Is it the same? is that the case though? Are all the title winners up from the north?
They have been the last 2 years.
Oh, have they?
The last 2 years, yes. They've actually both been from our gym as well. So there's me this year, and then there was a chap called Paul Smith last year.
He's your rival, isn't he?
He is a rival. Not much this year because he came 7th.
Is it? I like the way you said that as well. It was kind of... So Paul Smith
he won't like that.
Year,
if he sees it, I'm sorry, Paul.
I think we've got a bit of a clip of Paul. So I actually got to chat to Paul, so to talk about Paul in a sec. We did one of those brilliant novelty stuff. We're going to show Phil trying to lift me in the second half today. Paul Smith I chatted to earlier in the year, and he was lifting furniture in the library. Let's see if we've got this video. We'll chat to Paul.
I've had a event where we had to carry 2 motorbikes on the shoulders. That was a fun one. I had to pull a big truck in America, Canada. Pulling a tractor, actually, that was a fun one as well. It was very difficult there.
And I suppose what you don't want to do is tweak a muscle, pulling a muscle, doing something like this rather than your training events.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nothing's too heavy there once you figured it out, so I've been no injuries so far.
And in terms of what's next for you in terms of your training? What have you got coming up?
I've got a competition now in Birmingham in 7 weeks. That's full steam ahead for that now. Everything in the gym's focused towards that.
And what does training look like for you? Because I'm guessing this kind of library lugging around isn't part of your normal training regime.
It's not planned in, no. A lot of normal gym work which you'd see anyone really doing, and then a lot of strongman specific stuff. So got a car deadlift to do, got some atlas stones to lift, some ties to flip, things like that.
There we go. If you get to be England's strongest man, 2016, Paul Smith, you get to go to the library and lug around a whole load of heavy bookshelves, and so you get all this next year, or this year, really.
I'm surprised they didn't ask him to leave. To be honest, it's a bit noisy, wasn't it?
So there we go. There's your main rival, and he's in your gym.
Yes, he's in my gym. Yeah.
So what do you chat about when you're in the gym? Are you kind of swapping tips and dietary tips? Or?
No. We're think of it like a poker player. Okay, so you're playing with that person.
Yeah.
But your cards are yours, and his cards are his, and you want to beat him.
Are you looking at what his training regime is and what he's lifting?
No. Well, I may look out the corner of my eye a little bit, maybe, but I concentrate on my game. So if I know I'm doing well, then I'm very confident in my own ability.
So he won last year. So did he have to enter the kind of the northern round this year? Was he straight through?
No, he got to bypass that this year. So I won the northern one, but he got straight to England's, and they even gave him a different coloured top to wear as well, which I thought was pretty special.
So it is like the Tour de France yellow jersey winner.
Yeah, just a lot heavier.
What's he wearing?
People.
You're not on a bike.
No, I don't think they'd take our weight. So he'd wear the black top, and we all had to wear blue tops. The rest of us.
So he's the reigning champ. He's in the black top.
Was.
And so you will wear the black top next year.
Well, if they choose, they'll probably choose to be pink next year, I'd imagine.
Did he say that he's not actually giving it you? Is he not supposed to pass that on to you? Is that?
Well, I think he should have passed it on to me, but I didn't want to rub salt in the wound. So.
So why did it all work?
I'll let
this
him wash
year?
it first.
Oh, too right. Yeah, you must get a bit of a sweat on in those competitions. Why did it all work?
There's not a nice odour amongst a lot of strongmen usually.
Why did it all come together this year? You say you've been third before. This year you were just injury-free, more focused. What worked that hasn't worked in previous years?
I've got a coach, I've got a nutritionist, and everything just came together. I've never been so focused. The drive and want for it was really good. I didn't have many injuries, and I just gave it absolutely everything. So I put the effort in.
So in terms of when you started taking it seriously and thinking, I need a coach, I need to have a schedule, when did that start? Straight after you won that first tournament in Rotherham, or a bit later?
No. So I was still playing at it. It was still fun and games back then. And then when I managed to get to England's Strongest Man in 2016 and came third, I thought, why aren't I taking this more seriously than I was? So let's see what happens if I can take it seriously.
But what does that mean, taking it seriously? What did you change?
Don't go out drinking as much with your friends. So,
really?
Yeah.
Can you drink now? Do you drink now?
I do on occasion. A lot more rare to have it now. I'll probably just have a tin of beer in the evening. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
that doesn't sound very classy, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I like to do.
Well, no, I thought you were going to say that you just drink vodka or something pure. Like beer might just put weight on, or like the wrong
I want to
sort
put
of,
weight on, don't I?
but the wrong
Yeah.
sort of fat or like sugar
yeah.
or what have you. Well, we'll talk a bit about your diet, maybe after the second half, because I'm fascinated by that. About what you can eat and what you can't eat and when you eat and all that. Because I think you were saying that you graze, so we'll get into all of that rather than just the meals.
Yeah.
So in terms of how much you actually go to the gym and how much you lift and what your training looks like, you work at the gym, you're obviously there every day. Is it a benefit, I suppose, working at a gym anyway?
Well, it's my gym as well, so it's actually I own it. So,
but are you getting bothered by everyone constantly?
Yeah, so you're about to do a big lift, and then someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "Excuse me, could I have a protein shake?" Obviously, the customer comes first, so you have to kind of wind yourself down, make your protein shake, and then have to wind yourself back up again. So sometimes I just train after hours. I train after everyone's gone home.
Is your gym is not an aerobic gym? It's not full of treadmills. Is it
No.
just barbells and huge weights? Or
it's a little bit more sophisticated than that, but on the surface of it, it is a mainly free weight gym. We do have a cardio section, but we've got a lot of the strongman kit, which is also used in strength and conditioning.
what's the strongman kit?
So the strongman kit would be the log press, which I think we're going to see later on.
Yeah, okay.
Things like the super yoke. So the term super yoke, do you remember? Well, you won't remember, sorry.
No.
But when milkmaids used to get bales of milk.
I remember it well in my childhood.
Sorry.
Go on, yeah.
So basically, that was a yoke.
Right, yes.
A yoke that they'd carry. And strongman obviously took it to a different level and said, let's make this really, really heavy.
Right, so you've got those in your gym?
Yes.
You've got big tyres in your gym?
Yes,
no?
I've got a 425 kilo tyre. I've got lighter ones as well, but...
An old car that you can pull from one side of the room to the other?
No, I haven't got that, unfortunately.
So that, because I did wonder, I thought in terms of that training, how do you train for that? You literally train
We
for
have
it
sledges
by
instead
doing
that
it.
we put, we've got sledges that we put weights on and stuff, so it just makes training so much more interesting.
I was going to say, is it interesting? Because it sounds monotonous.
Oh,
But
no,
how do you feel when you're in training? You must take pride in feeling fit, in getting bigger, and thinking my muscles are getting bigger. What's those sort of emotions there?
Well, that's the point where you do start feeling smug about yourself. You do what you said, the peacock. Okay, so
Yeah.
you lift a big weight, you do think, oh, you know what?
And it's endorphins, isn't it? So you get that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, so it's a feel-good factor. Some people get it from going out to the cinema. Some people get it from playing cards with their friends or going for a run or playing tennis. For me, it was lifting weights. And every time I lift a big weight that I've done before, it's great. So I'll give myself a pat on the back and strut around a little bit. And then it's straight back to it, though.
Do you have to rein yourself in? Because you must you must get that superhuman, Robocop, Arnie, whatever, and walk out that gym thinking,
Yeah.
if anybody messes with me now,
Well, I'll bench press them.
I'm absolutely sure I'll throw them.
I'll put them over my head like I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see about that later on, won't we?
Yes, you do have to rein yourself. You have to remind yourself you're human. But I've got a coach to do that as well. So my coach is very much reins it in. He usually tells me if I've lifted a weight and I feel good about it. He says, "Oh, that was rubbish."
Was that an issue?
Bring me back down to earth.
Was that an issue in the police though? Because you were such a big guy, you had to, and you had that position of power as well. Was that sometimes difficult? And you had a weapon and all the rest of it to rein yourself in. You had to sort of you had to have that discipline.
I won't lie. I mean, there's a lot of things in the police that I disagree with, as far as things like management as well. But it was hard because you're human, and there's people saying stuff to you, or
Provoking
you've seen
you.
something, or you've seen something you ethically disagree with, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it is extremely frustrating. So I have a massive respect for those police officers that still do the job. I couldn't do any more. No chance.
Stay tuned. We're going to come back to Phil. He is England's strongest man. We'll find out what happened when he tried to lift me, if he was successful. And also, we'll talk about more about his training regime, his food, and get into a bit more detail about the rounds of these strongmen competitions. Stay tuned. We're back after the break.